Hi, everyone. This is Robin Kinney with this episode of Motor City Woman TV, where we're sharing what you need to know from the people who are doing it best. On this episode, we're actually talking with a fellow mom, a fellow woman entrepreneur, and someone who I fangirl all the time just because she is the bomb. I'm talking about Danielle North, of course. She is the owner operator of Kids Kingdom, Detroit's first indoor playground, as well as the founder of the Detroit Women's Leadership Network. And I wanted to talk to her not only because she is working from home with three kids, as am I, but also how the network, Detroit Women's Leadership Network, is providing vital resources during this time for women entrepreneurs. So stay tuned and enjoy. Thank you. I appreciate that. We are being given a gift of this time, and that's the mindset shift that I had to make and that I have to continually make, because sometimes I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to see someone new.
Exactly.
I haven't seen y'all.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, the energy starts to wane, right? How do you
Yeah.
reboost, rejuvenate, and as we were just saying, pivot?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, it's definitely forcing us to be innovative and creative. Like we had a extended family Zoom chat,
Uh-huh.
and we do them on a regular basis. And we had like a little game night, and
Uh-huh.
it was like a multi-state, and it was just so cool because it's something that we would have never done before.
Yeah.
And having to send out instructions to our less technological adapted family members. And, but we had so much fun, and my aunt was like, oh, I'm so glad that you're doing this, and we need to do more of this because we miss each other,
Right. And so you're picking up new skills and talents. And I think the interesting thing that I've heard and read recently, folks are saying, we're all in, I guess, for purposes of this example, I guess in the same boat, but experiencing different things, right? So we're all in this shutdown, in this COVID-19, but for some, it's a really difficult time.
Yes.
For some, it's a really great time. For some, it's a combination.
Mm-hmm.
So we can't take for granted that, all our experiences may be different. Instead of saying we're all having
right. You should be doing this. I'm doing this, and I'm like, look. Some people are just surviving right now.
Absolutely. And in my situation, I think is really interesting in terms of how I'm applying it and thinking about it. People are like, oh, what are you doing for your business? And what are you doing for women's leadership? And truthfully, I had to take a step back. And particularly with my business and my extracurricular things, no matter how big they are. In a situation like this, it's like these things are really extra.
Really extra.
And I had to make a decision. I had to choose. And so I chose my primary consulting work, which is my main source of income.
Right.
My family, meaning this home life with the kids and their homeschooling and preparing meals.
Which is a whole other conversation.
Absolutely.
I said, I was struggling with the homeschool, and I have friends who are teachers who I reach out to. And you know what? The main thing that one of them said to me was, Robin, you're putting too much pressure on yourself. You're not a teacher.
That's right. You're not. And you didn't ask for this. That's the adjustment too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's, and even that is a lot. You didn't ask for it. Interestingly enough, I had started out homeschooling my kids in the fall. So I had taken my 10-year-old out of his school, and my kindergartner, when he was going to kindergarten, I said, I'm going to start you guys off with homeschooling because we were considering moving. And I just wasn't happy with where they were, where the oldest was. And so I started out homeschooling, but the programs that I had them in, they were in programs 3 days a week.
Okay.
Day was a free day for us, which we would use that as a field trip. And so it was still educational. And one day I was actually with them for the most part. And I had my meetings where I didn't really have a lot of face-to-face meetings. And so I could catch up on homework and things like that. And so this is even different because we weren't doing, like, they were gone 3 days. And
Right.
now it's like everybody is here. So, and they had started in school in November. So we moved. They weren't homeschooled anymore. They transitioned to the school. And so here we are getting all acclimated with that. And then boom, we're home.
Right.
And I'm like, look, when I even had them homeschooling, they were not here 5 days.
Right. This is not what I meant.
Yeah. And so I had to, like you, give myself a break. At first I was I'm like, you better get that work done.
We were structured. Okay, between 9 and 10, we doing this, 10 and that. I was by like I would say the mid-second week, I was like, you know what?
And my work has been too busy. It's too busy, you know? So don't be hard on yourself.
Yeah. Oh, I let it go. I focus more on their mental well-being.
Yes.
We focus on learning new things and making sure we incorporate music. So we're a music household. So there's always music going. And so they express some interest in learning keyboard. So looking at YouTube videos and doing some instruction on that. And, just kind of I think in general, all of us need to give ourselves some grace.
That's true. And learning, can happen in different ways. Like you're saying with the music, like I do cooking with them. Now, these are some of the things we were doing with our homeschooling. And so I just try and find the lesson in things because it's an adaptation for them as well. Right. And we have some things that we're still putting our foot down about, but believe it or not, shockingly, we have been letting them stay up really late.
Same here.
And we never do that. We're sticking to our guns on some things, like no video games during the week, only on the weekend. But sleep, I mean, like it's bad. And we're just letting them stay up late. And then
I'm like, look, we rewrite the rules right now.
Yeah. I mean, there's no book for this. There's no manual for it. So adjusting and adapting. And for us, thankfully, I was able to choose, right? Some people can't choose, and I'm respectful of that. And I would never, we've been really blessed, I'd say, in this circumstance, even with the school system where our kids are. I think I can be a little more lax because they are providing some parameters and the lessons and things for them. It's kind of like, if you just do that, then
we're good. Yeah.
And if you don't, I mean, the truth is, and I know this is going to affect some kids more than others. Yes, this is different. And yes, we are going to see a slide, whatever that slide is, if it's on a scale or however, because they're not going to school every day like they were.
Right.
And our school systems had to pivot to create a program that, still works. So no, they're not in school 8 hours anymore. That's gonna be a shift for everyone.
And I think it's gonna be a while. And it's interesting that you brought up homeschooling because you're not the first mom that has said, that's not only considered homeschool, but really considering it now. And I was just like, when I was looking at the news and they were talking about a second wave in the fall. And I'm like, well, when are these kids going to school?
Yeah, I mean, the truth is, and because I work in education, I mean, some of the things that are being looked at is probably a gradual integration back into school, something where some social distancing practices are still being adhered to. So that could very well, I mean, it could look very different depending on what school, but it's really interesting because me being the serial entrepreneur idea creator, people who know me and who were having meetings with me earlier, going all the way back to late fall. I have a proposal and a whole plan for essentially what has occurred and where we are now. Because in homeschooling my kids, I knew that there were a lot of families who wanted to do that.
Yeah.
And I had actually gone out and creatively structured something that worked, which is not what you would really call homeschool. Because when you say homeschool, you think you're sitting at home with your kids all day. But part of what I was doing for them, I had actually found some state aid funding to cover the 2 days, and I still had to pay a portion. And then the third day I was paying for that. So there are kind of like some hybrids and some things you can put together if you want a creative experience for your kids. And I know that there are a lot of families who work. See, for me, I need to do that because I still work. There are a lot of homeschoolers who work, and people don't really know that. So I was trying to come up with a model with parents who wanted to do that.
That sounds great.
Yeah, and so and here we are now. Basically, it has shifted where if you never thought it was possible, you could visualize it, even if it is hard or crazy or however. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, I think we're all like we're in it now because it's what we're like on maybe week 5 or
6,
maybe 6, and it's just like, okay, so this is happening. Let's recognize it as what it is. This is happening, and you know, how do I feel about this, and what can I do to make sure that I'm, you know, happy and whole? How can I create space for myself to find some joy?
That's right.
In this moment, and not just like, oh, I'm stuck at home. I'm like, no, you're safe at home.
Yeah. And I love this this choice to determine what the new normal is coming out of this. You know, both of us we're entrepreneurs. We set our own schedules for the most part. And I mean, that's relative, right?
Right.
Act like with entrepreneurship, you just fully own your own schedule, but you do have some flexibility, right?
Sure.
And a lot of other folks are kind of coming into the world that we've been accustomed to, you know, working from home or working from your studio in your case, and having that ownership. Now we kind of have a choice to determine what normal will look like for us after.
Right.
You're hearing a lot of like, well, maybe things don't need to go back to normal.
I know.
You know, maybe
normal wasn't working.
That's right. That's right.
Normal wasn't working for a lot of, you know, for our earth. It wasn't working.
Yeah. And I've seen some interesting memes and things where it's like, oh, so that job that I couldn't work from home, I can have from home. Or you know, so we can have telemedicine, or we can have, you know, these different things that our country was forced to pivot on. And I know for a fact, because this is how I set up my contracts. This is how I set up my work. I tell people up front, I can do this, and I will name my price, and I will say, but I cannot sit in your office all day.
I know, that's right.
I won't, and I can't. And guess what? It's not needed.
And it's not needed. But I do think that this entire situation is revealing to a lot of companies and corporations that, hey, there is a way that we can still be productive, but responsive to the needs of our employees. And like you said, maybe it doesn't mean coming to a physical desk, but how do we, you know, checking in and creating systems so that we can still hit those benchmarks and have the same goals, but maybe the path to getting there looks a little different.
So true. And I think those same employers are concerned about what you're saying. Oh, we can't hit the benchmarks. Oh, we can't hit the goals. Now, for some, you know, you're not going to need a sign-in process. They're going to get their work done and will potentially work more than they ever have. Because working from home means you don't get to really turn off.
Right.
Or
you have to force. I know for me, I had to give myself a schedule because I love what I do, and I would be doing it all day. But then I was like, okay, my kids are here as well, and you know they're a higher priority, and so I'll just go and go and go and go, and not say, okay, I'm done with work today. So I don't even work every day now.
Good for you.
Because I needed the mental
break.
I needed the mental break where I'm just doing something. Like I like to color, I like to do puzzles, where I'm just being, you know, with a 3-year-old and just playing.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to fit into a category of being productive.
And do you feel like you're more productive then after you've been able to take that break?
Mm-hmm. Because I have more clarity.
That's right.
I have more clarity. And I think in general, I don't do anything that brings on additional stress right now.
Yeah.
And there was a client that I was potentially going to do some work with. And I just didn't like the tone of the conversation. And I knew that the expectation that they were going to have on me was going to bring some stress. And I was really trying to, create like, okay, so if we come up with this plan, then I won't be stressed. And then it was just like, no, I was just like, this isn't working.
Yeah, you're like, look, I'm having to try and think too hard about this.
Yep. And that's exactly what it was. I was like, and this isn't going to get any better.
Yeah.
If this is the beginning.
Like, what am I getting myself into?
Yeah, that's how I felt. But that is a luxury.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I can't, not right now.
Yep. You're like,
I'm gonna. Yep. I sure did. I quietly bagged on up and said, "Y'all be blessed."
They say, yeah. No, I totally get it. So I wanted to. I know you had kind of posed a couple of questions.
Yeah. In general, I think that the network that you all have created with Detroit Women's Leadership Network is not only you have to have had so much forethought for that, to create this space for women to talk about, negotiating an upcoming salary, getting ready for an interview, job availability, all the way to tools and resources to grow your business. And especially now, when I think of who is really leading the conversations of making those connections of women in the economy, that's what the Detroit Women's Leadership Network is doing and has done. And anyone that I come across, if they're talking about improving the trajectory of their career, or they're just not sure what skills they're going to need, or if they're thinking about growing their business, one of the first questions I always ask them is, have you joined the Detroit Women's Leadership Network? Just because that's going to connect you to a network nationwide. And one thing that I've noticed about your group that is different from any other group that says that it's doing the work that you guys are doing is the diversity of the voices and the experiences that you can tap into. So someone could pose a question and someone with a 30-year career in that industry to chime in. You know what I'm saying? So when I think about that, and it's in the time that we're in right now, is there anything that you guys have seen, any types of conversations that keep coming up, given what we're in right now with businesses being forced to shut down, with people getting laid off? Is there anything that you guys are seeing, or the same types of questions or posts that you're coming on? Because you really have your finger on the pulse of women in the economy, is the way I look at it.
Oh, wow. First, I just have to say I'm getting teary-eyed. I have and butterflies and everything just hearing you talk about it. And for you to say foresight, I think that is really powerful, and it actually speaks to the network. And I'll go all the way back, and then I'll come forward with that foresight point. So yes, it was developed with complete intentionality and developed completely from the heart and focused on the mission and passion. Mm-hmm. And every element of what we believed in went into the foundation. And so what you see now manifested, everything that you described, is our mission. Mm-hmm. A group of women of every race, age, career stage, coming together to uplift and support one another. That was our original like mission before we did a strategic plan and we came up with this, saucier, mission,
Mhm.
discussing, women and their trajectory in their career.
Right.
But to me, that original mission is still just so powerful because when you come to our virtual or in-person space, you get exactly what you just described. Now, that was the forethought that was involved. But I would sit here at this moment be lying to you if if I could tell you that I knew it would be as powerful as it is. And so
Mm.
left some room for that organic growth. And
Mhm.
I'm telling you, our network is as strong as it is because of the women who are in it.
Yep.
I didn't create those women. I didn't, build their careers. I didn't create their frame of reference and their experiences. And so the power in just creating that space and then what occurs because of who is there, I can't, we can take credit for creating the space, but can't take credit for all of the women who are in there. And so that's the power. And that's what we said in this time frame. One of my great friends and she's the strategic content editor, Jennifer
Mhm.
Rowski. She
Mhm.
and I, we were doing kind of like a bi-weekly show, which we wanted to do anyway. And so we
Mhm.
started out kind of doing that as some form of encouragement for the network. It's called Diversity. And we'll pick that back up sometime in the future. But we thought it was important to try and bring some inspiration and hope to the
Mhm.
platform. And as everything continued to unfold with our families and with work, we said, you know what? We need to take a step back because
Mhm.
we don't need to feel like we have the ultimate responsibility
Mhm.
to, alone be the moderator of this. And
Mhm.
so, like you said, it's really powerful because within that group, what we're seeing is that women are still looking for jobs.
Mhm.
That is something that continues to happen. And so we've been able to still post job postings on our website.
Mhm.
And we're not, that individual was able to ask the group, hey, do you know who is hiring? This is,
Yeah.
this is a bad time, but this is the kind of experience that I have. And
Right.
guess what? Folks are still hiring.
Mhm.
So that's a recurring theme that we're seeing. You'll see everything from personal questions like, how are you guys navigating this as a
Mhm.
mom, to, hey, do folks think, this is going to be the new normal, as
Mhm.
said. And so we don't have to have that pressure as
Right.
founders and moderators to create the conversations.
Mhm.
One thing that I did recently was tag a bunch of women who are
Mhm.
doing amazing things. I said, look, we're not necessarily the house of the COVID-19 information.
Mhm.
Look at these places where they are. Rachel Lutz, who
Mhm.
owns the Peacock Room,
Mhm.
has started a rapid response space for Detroit business owners. Charity Dean, who heads up the diversity and inclusion, the civil rights office for the mayor's office, they're
Mhm.
doing amazing work. Um, Detour Detroit,
Mhm.
Ashley and Jennifer, no, Ashley and Katie, I'm sorry,
Mhm.
they've converted their Detour Detroit page to focusing solely on this COVID-19 information. So there are women who are in our group,
Yeah.
women who are partners, women who we're connected to, where we're saying, hey, follow them, follow the work that they're doing. And so I think that has been really powerful in this time.
Mhm. And I think women in general are natural collaborators.
Yeah.
And what your group has done is it's saying that, okay, I can be transparent, I can be vulnerable, and within this space, someone, is either going to respond or point me in the right direction, or, just something. And so I think that is very difficult to do in the Facebook group setting. But you guys have done an excellent job of making sure that the page is, remains professional and it has a level of decorum, let's
That's right.
say, where, okay, this is what we're not going to do.
Yeah. And I
And
mean,
you haven't had to do that a lot. I've seen you do that a couple of times, but you haven't had to do
And listen, people crack up when I call people out. They get on the string and they're like, oh, I see they want to test you today. And to me, it is very, very important to keep this space something that is reliable and credible. And so if you have people just posting whatever, sometimes I see things and I'm like, that's better served on your personal page. Like, I understand, I know that there's a network here, but like this is for your homepage.
Right. This is not for advertising.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was so funny.
And what I will say though, the other shift that we've made in this climate is that I've laxed the restrictions on advertising because I know now more than ever, women need additional spaces to promote what they're doing, and because they're doing it virtually. So now I've laxed those restrictions, and I said, even if we can't do something really big, here's what we can do right now.
Right.
We allow you to advertise tastefully.
Right.
About your business. Don't come in here spamming.
Right.
Don't. Oh, wait, we had someone, well, she's been really trying to get us to buy her men's magazine or whatever it was.
A men's magazine?
Yeah.
Oh.
It was not
the Detroit Women's Leadership Network?
Not professional. Women are the clientele, yes, but it was.
Oh, gotcha. I gotcha. All right now.
And so I had to go ahead and block her because
go ahead and block.
It's like you get one chance and you get told what the rules are. And then after that, it's like, okay, so you still want to make this into something that is you have to go ahead and
you are not listening. So let me make this easier for you.
For her, maybe she misunderstood because she's like, oh, we can advertise a little bit. Not that. Still not that, but
that's funny. That's hilarious. But I think one thing about the space that you've created is that, people want to be involved with it, which, it takes a lot of work to like, oh, I want to be affiliated with it. And even before you lax the rules where people would want to advertise on your page because they know the, not only the amount of women they'll reach by, advertising on your page, but the level of the span and the type of women and their backgrounds that you'll reach with just that one post. And I think that's what's so valuable about the space. If someone posts on there, hey, I'm going in for an interview, but I have this issue, how should I approach it? And you have like an HR professional comment on it, that's invaluable.
Yeah, like people who are at the top.
Yeah,
are the best of the best. And I don't want to start naming names because I don't want to leave anyone out. But we have everyone from starting out to very, illustrious or successful people. You do a search, you'd be surprised who are in the group. And not only if they don't participate, they see it. They see it because you'll encounter them and they'll, and I'll give this example because this is someone who I recently partnered with. We were going to be a part of the event that we couldn't have because
I know
coronavirus. But
it's going to be bigger and better the next one.
Yeah. Yes. But Carla Walker Miller.
Yes, phenomenal.
I have fangirled her forever. People have said, oh, you need to meet her. And I was still trying to plan and figure out this spring event. And I attended an event with the governor with her, and we sat across from each other. And afterwards, I grabbed her hand, and I'm like, I absolutely love you. And
she's so approachable. I mean, to be so accomplished, she's probably was like, what do you need?
Yeah. And she knew who I was. Like, she was like, yeah, you're with, she named one of the things I did. She was like, you're with Grand Valley State, right? And I said, yeah. And I started telling her about the Women's Leadership Network. And she was like, I did not know that was yours. And she was like, oh my God, I love what you're doing. She's like, any way that I can help you, any way I can help you. And so for me, right, I'm not shy. I know I did something. I had a need. I'm not going to be the one that pretends like, okay, well, I said that you mentioned it.
Right.
you know,
Since we're talking.
yeah, we have this event coming up, and she's like, absolutely,
That's awesome.
whatever you need. So offered up her space.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful space. I can't wait
It
for
is.
to get in there, to offer up to be the keynote, and just to help promote and send her team
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
and everything, which is just so powerful. Women
Yeah.
helping women, women supporting women, and she's so modest. She didn't want to acknowledge the fact that she's here, and I'm like,
Mhm.
girl, you are here.
Mhm.
Not all of our struggles and all what we're doing is different. We have different levels of success. I'm not on that level. And
Oh, that's right.
I mean, she's got all, hundreds of employees, multiple
Mhm.
locations. She has stuff out of this state.
Mhm. Mhm.
Big deal.
Right. Yeah.
And so
Super big deal.
women like that, whether she ever comments, she's following. She knows what's happening.
Right.
And
Right.
so the power of that is just invaluable.
Yeah, I'll always be in debt to her because she gave us one of our first jobs, and for our audio engineers of Detroit, we actually did the AV work for the launch of her new location.
Awesome. I had
Yeah,
no
yeah,
idea.
and she really, when I was working with her team, they said that she was really intentional about working with other women business owners, and I just thought, like, wow.
Amazing. Yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, and you're a big deal. Okay. Let's talk about you, Miss. I mean,
Let's not talk about me.
and even before, no, because you're a woman and we're talking about women and supporting women. I mean, even before this, you were ahead of the game with the podcasting. And anytime someone even mentions podcasts like that, that's what I'm thinking about. I'm tagging you. I'm
I appreciate it.
work, and your pivot in even being able to educate folks on it.
Yeah.
And I've been following that because I really struggle, as you know. We have a partnership that did not take off because I have really struggled with this idea of having the need to create the content over and over again.
Yeah. Yep. And that's for most people. It's like
Yeah.
you're excited and you get that first episode or that first video or whatever done. And then you're like, oh, this is a lot of work. Or you coming up with new ideas, or just the monotony of it. Sometimes it's just like, all right, I'm done with that.
Yeah. And I'm so excited. And I know that it can be very successful, actually. But I am very conscientious about starting things that I can't finish.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, this has been, it's been 2 years, and it hasn't, because I just don't want to put us in a space where we can't keep it going.
Yeah.
And we started doing that diversity.
Mm-hmm.
We gave ourselves some flexibility with it, like, okay, it can be different places and it's bi-weekly.
Mm-hmm.
And we just come together. But even that, it's like, it's difficult because who knows
Yeah.
what it'll be in 2 weeks at that same time.
Right.
Baby shower or birthday party.
Right. There's stuff going on. We all have lives.
That's right.
And that's why, I changed this so that it was recorded and not live, so that one thing that I've learned is repurposing content so to give it a longer shelf life.
Yeah.
But everything is in divine order. So
I was like, wait a minute, what I need to do for this link? I need to be ready. I'm like, wait a minute. You were like, it's not live. And I was like, okay.
Okay. I know everyone that I tell that to is not live. They're like, oh, okay, phew.
Yeah.
I'm like, look, we're all live streamed out.
Yeah. I mean, seriously. And the inability to get it right. I wasn't able to catch the Teddy Riley and Babyface, but
oh my gosh.
The debacle.
It was classic.
Oh,
it was and someone summarized it up. No, go ahead.
No, I was saying, I bet you were cringing because you do that kind of work. So you're like, look, the levels, this.
Someone posted, the universe is always giving us what we need, not necessarily what we want. We wanted a battle. We got pure comedy. And that's what we needed at that time. And it was good. And even the second round of it, what was that, Sunday night?
Uh-huh.
Oh, at the beginning, It was just, and I do these Motor City Woman Minutes where we talk about how to improve your audio quality. The next morning, I had to do a Motor City Woman Minute on that because it was just
Like,
so good. Like, someone please slide my information to Teddy Riley so that I can help.
Because my understanding is that he had a bunch. First of all, social distancing had a bunch.
So many things. It was a Saturday Night Live sketch.
And
it was like 50 people there, 5 cameras, no masks. Just like, and we all looking like, is he at home?
Yeah, and it was the worst though. Like, you had all of those people. Like, let me just give you my girl Robin's number, because actually, I may not be very tech savvy. Clearly, the 50 people in the room are. Let me give you the number. Actually, just watch this Motor City.
Just watch this.
Just watch this morning.
And I think, well, I know for the second one, it was just him, but he still had people coming in and out. But I'm like, oh, he must have fired everybody, because there's no excuse for something like that. Well, he was just trying to do too much. That's all. He was just trying to do too much.
Either fire everybody or read the comments and said, oh, yeah, that was kind of messed up.
Oh my gosh. My stomach hurt from reading the comments.
I'm cracking up, and I have all the content, and
I like other celebrities, like Toni Braxton was just like, y'all call me when my song comes on, because I can't sit here. I have other things to do.
She's commented live.
She commented. She said, I gotta go cook dinner. When is this gonna start? It was so funny. Everything. The fact that he had a backup dancer. It was just
like, what were you thinking? And you know, Babyface in his cool, calm way, apparently he was just chilling.
Babyface was like this.
But listen, they're opening up all of your, you know, and like I said, you have all of these, you know, this is how you do it. And when people see that, if they have fear or reservations, in having an expert like you, having you at our disposal with our network, you know, to know someone that has their own studio and their own clients. I mean, Rocky is having you on her show.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
So it's like, I mean, that's just so powerful.
Thank you. And, you know, you mentioned that your word is pivot. And that's really what it was all about, having a physical space and having the studio and not being able to welcome people to the studio. I had to pivot fast.
Yeah.
But we were already providing some virtual services to clients in other states, but we had to then transition clients who were used to coming to a studio to a virtual environment, and the training that went along with that. But also being sensitive to, some people are like, you know what, I'm just checked out. I'll see you in a few months, and being okay with that.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that that's so powerful in this space. It's difficult as a business owner to, you know, kind of let people off and trying to pivot and figure out how do you make it financially. Like, if you give folks, you know, 3 months off, what does that mean? Are they still paying for it in advance, or are you just giving them those months off?
Right.
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
Figuring out. And so for me, for my indoor playground childcare center, I had to make some
Kids Kingdom, shout your stuff out.
Yeah. Where I had to make some very difficult decisions and early on, before anyone told me I needed to close on the weekend, I went ahead and made that decision because I didn't want to have all of this extra activity and, you know, staff needing to do additional disinfecting. And then looking at the weekday when daycares were still considered essential, and they still are if you're providing that essential care. And I did have families who still needed us. I had to make a decision to say we have to close, because not only had the numbers dropped, even though we still had families, the numbers dropped. And then you're looking at just the fear of, what if somebody gets coronavirus here, right? Worst case scenario.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here, then needing to test the temperature as people are coming in and daycares are exempt in that they don't have to practice social distancing.
Okay.
Because
Right. Of course. Yeah. How could you?
exactly. But still, all of that is very scary.
Right.
Make an executive decision, not knowing where any support financially or otherwise would come from.
Mm-hmm.
Say, hey, we're closed, and we're
Mm-hmm.
still closed right now, and we're revisiting it.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
Mm-hmm.
'cause I know it's going to get extended. The governor's going to extend things.
Yep.
Following schools a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
different. But a lot of my families are working from home now too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
it's gonna be a while. It's going to be a while,
Mhm.
and I keep telling people that there is no going back to at
That's
this
right.
point. And I know that's difficult because we have to wrap our mind, because it's been a relatively short amount of time to get used to something that we weren't prepared for and we didn't ask for, like you said. But being sure and having faith that you're going to be okay and that you are equipped and everything that you need, you have, or it will be provided to you.
That's
And
right.
that's it. That's it. And from a business standpoint, I'm like, oh, I'm learning some new skills. I've taken this time to learn new software, reach out to people who I didn't have access to before.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And, just making better connections with my family, having fun with my family, and just
Right.
creating whatever you want it to be. It doesn't have to look like what someone else's reality looks like right now. When we first started with being at home in the stay-at-home order, I was like, oh, I'm going to get up and I'm going to do yoga in the morning. And it's going to be great. And I'm going to be juicing.
Girl,
Girl.
guess how not easy that is. And I'm a runner, and
Yes, you are.
the door is right there. Like, this is my office. The door is right there. And I've been it's slowing down just a bit, but I've been so busy with work, with my clients, because my primary clients are in education,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just so busy. And that's my role: external relations, communication, dealing with the board, dealing with the authorizer, all of the entities
A lot. Yeah.
that have had to put down all of the new mandates
Mm-hmm.
relative to this stay-at-home order. So it has not slowed down. In fact, it has been busier.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, this is the dream. My husband's here.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have some dual support with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
My limitation anytime with going out to exercise is care.
Right.
So everyone's here. And my thought was, oh, I'm gonna just get up and walk out.
Girl, I'm about to go for a run every day. Mm-mm.
And you're like, and then I had to stop being in the office so much and try and gravitate and be out there with the family
Sure.
too, because I mean, on one hand, it's great to say, to set hours or however, but that doesn't work for me. I prefer to take a break in the day sometimes, and then maybe come
Yeah,
back.
if that's what you need.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing that we're all learning. We make the rules.
That's right. That's right. And so I'll come back to it in the evening, which could mean, I still have work,
Right.
or sometimes I'm like, I just want to get all of this done. So nobody
Right.
is with me.
Right.
So yeah, it's not what we necessarily thought it would be, but it's great. It's
Yeah.
it's working. This is the only time in our lives, right? Because my husband, once this does go back to normal, I mean, my husband typically has gone from 7 a.m. Well, actually, no, that's not right. He starts at 7 a.m. So he's gone before that.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's basketball season, which spans from November through the end of March, he's gone from that time until like 10 p.m.
Wow.
every day.
Wow.
Every day. And that is the adjustment that our family has had to make, and to, just to I say it like this, deal with. We have a healthy way where we figured it out, but it's hard. It's hard. It's hard on our marriage. It's hard on life. And I'm the accepting, like, at least this is the place where we are now, right?
Mm-hmm.
The accepting, loving wife, where it's like, we have to support you through this, because he's not like me, like, this oh, I got to start this new business. I got to do this. I got to do
Yeah.
that. But he loves his job. He loves working with the kids, and he loves basketball, and he loves coaching and supporting kids. And so for him, it's like a seasonal, shift where we have
Yeah.
to be there. We go to the games. We deal with the fact that, he can't really be there. Um, and we get through it. And we always go on a vacation as soon as it's over. Guess what? We didn't get to go on our vacation this year. Everything got cut off.
Yeah.
And so, but we're here. We're here.
You're here.
We get to see him in the morning. We see him in the day.
Yeah.
And
It's a gift.
Yeah,
It's a gift.
Yeah.
And I don't want to keep you much longer, but I did have one last question.
Sure.
Especially since you not only have a successful career, you're an entrepreneur and you're a mom. And one thing that I'm hearing, or I'm observing rather, from moms we're all in this situation where we're home, some are working from home and trying to figure out, again, same things keep coming up, the balance part. So what do you do? And you mentioned this a little bit earlier, how, yes, you're in the office, but you're intentional about making sure that you spend time with the family. And sometimes that can be a challenge where it's like, okay, I only got 24 hours and I need to sleep in those. But what would you say are top 3 things that you do to make sure that you have this balance, especially during this time?
Yeah, I think that that's a tough one for me to answer. I have to answer very transparently, that with work, it's been very difficult because no one else is needing to work so much right now, and I do. And so I did not set any parameters really in the beginning. Like the first 4 weeks, it was nonstop. And I just had to say, look, family, I have to work because my job and responsibility was around making sure our schools were ready and that our kids had what they need. I'm less on the front lines and I'm more behind the scenes, but I didn't have a choice. And so I just really put my head in the sand, kept working. And but what I'll say is now with a level head, and even from the beginning, one thing that has been very important is our meals. I have been cooking, ensuring that my family has a home cooked meal, and trying to be creative and come up with new things. And my husband and I have been sharing in that.
And that's like a dance when you're in the kitchen with your husband and you're cooking, and that's like a little fun thing.
It is, and it's not his thing. He's not able to usually contribute because he's well, and even when he can, he's not thinking like, oh, well, I'm here today. He's thinking like, I'm chilling, or let me grab a pizza or do whatever if it's my day. I see him doing that. So our meals. My husband and I, neither of us watch any kind of series or television. And so we've been intentionally having like an every night date night where we binge watch and watch television together. So that's really important. And that's spending time, again, something we would have never been able to do.
Yep.
And we get to stay up late because my husband usually has to be out of the house so early, stay up late. So that quality time with him, the quality time with the whole family doing the meals. And then I'll say the other thing that I have for sure done to have balance, and we talked about it a little bit as well earlier, is to not stress. I'm not going to stress. I'm not going to make a big deal out of things. I'm not going to pressure my kids. And again, I messed up with that at first in the beginning. It was like, get this done. And, I got to work. So you get in there and you better do your assignment. And yes, they're still learning and they're still doing their assignments, but I can't stress about that. And there are enough stressors. Have you been to the grocery store?
I know that's right. Oh my gosh, where you're like, back up.
Yeah, have you sanitized your groceries? Have you, we could check out right now if we really wanted to.
If you want.
So it's important to not have that stress in order to do
Well, thank you so much, Danielle, for joining me, and thank you for creating the space of the Women's Leadership Network for all of us to check in with one another, support one another. And it just goes along with the collaborative spirit of women, and that there's space for all of us and there's room for all of us.
That's right.
We just have to, lock arms with one another and understand that, I saw a quote from Tracy Ellis Ross.
Yeah.
And she said, I was taught that there was enough sun for all of us to shine, or something like that.
Right.
That it's not like, oh, I can't let her.
Yeah, it's my time in the sun.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we have to dispel the myths that women don't support women, that women don't love each other, that women are out to get each other. And while any of that may be true at some point, it's important for us to uplift and promote this idea that we can collaborate and work well together.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for being a leader for all of us to aspire to be like, because you really have created the format for, okay, this is how you can, be an entrepreneur, have a career, and, a loving family. So thank you so much. And thank you for, of course, creating this space and being so transparent.
Oh, thank you, Robin. I appreciate you. And thank you for being easy to talk to and someone I want to share with.
Oh, thank you. Well, I will let you go to your family. I've been craving. I'm sure. I thought I heard somebody. I was like, let me wrap this up.
Like it's our time. I don't know what I'm missing, but let me
wrap this up.